BetOnline is your number one source for all your championship finals info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines and the latest matchup reports for this year's NBA and Stanley Cup finals. BetOnline is your sports intel headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your insider sports wagering needs, from basketball and hockey to MLB, UFC, and boxing. The latest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Get into the action today. Head to the website or use your mobile device to join, and be sure to use the promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. It is the Arizona Cardinals centric specific show where, of course, we talk about the Arizona Cardinals here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. I am one of your co-hosts. I am Javon J. Love Adams, and with me, as always, is the one and only man who could steal bases back in the day. He wait on that fastball and then send it over the fences. He also played in that first Super Bowl bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. The one and only Ed Smith. What is good, my brother?
What up, Joe J? Halfway through June, bro. We got only a few more weeks where players will be reporting to training camps. And so we're done with NBA. Baseball's in the, not necessarily dog days, but in the middle of the season. And football, it's like you can almost smell it in the air.
Are those jocks that you're smelling? I mean, what the hell is wrong with you, right? So today, a couple of things wanted to touch on. One of them, I want to understand, to get Easy's take on how important mini camps are. We had this discussion on our Easy Sports Talk show, which you can find now 3 days a week during the week, in addition to our Saturday show. Just search Easy Sports Talk show wherever you find your podcast. And in addition to that, how long does it take talent to gel before you want to hit the eject button? I want you to put on your GM cap, so to speak, in terms of a report that was in terms of not a report, but an article, a ranking about the QB, the starting QB and the offensive line for the Arizona Cardinals. And then also, Budda Baker, he's in camp physically. Just, we'll get into thoughts on that. And then also, how much, if is it a risk at all for Monti Ossenfort to tear this thing down and rebuild? So let's start with the first thing. Mandatory minicamps, 3 days, they're in there. I want your thoughts, because somebody like me, I don't understand, does it make that big of a deal? I know you've talked before about, the season before you got to the Super Bowl, what that was like when you were in the Atlanta Falcons. Can you talk about maybe the importance, or if I'm not putting enough on it or putting too much on it, in terms of what mandatory minicamp can do or not do for a team?
Well, minicamps is kind of, I guess a lot of people will poo-poo them and think, it's just, middle of the summer. It's not that important that these guys get together. And man, I'm telling you, they are so important, especially for organizations that are like the Cardinals are their situation right now. They've got new general manager, new coaches, a couple hold out, or a couple leftovers from the other regime. But for the most part, you got brand new coaching staff. You got a whole new philosophy in terms of how they're going to handle things within the building. And, then you think about offense and defense and special teams. These are all things that are going to be changing as far as, different playbooks and stuff like that. So this is very important, especially for a team like the Cardinals, to get together. You have the OTAs, but OTAs are kind of, there's a reason they're not mandatory, because it's basically workouts, and then we'll get you in the rooms, for the meeting rooms, for a little bit, and we can go over some stuff. And, but there's not a lot of there's not a lot of specifics that you get to work on. When you have these mandatory mini camps, it's now like mini training camp. We're going to have a schedule, a day of in the meeting rooms, but then we're going to go out on the field with the shells, because there's not any hitting or anything like that. But we're actually going to start running through stuff at, let's say a 75, 80% kind of tempo. So there's not a lot of bumping and grinding going on out there. But players will now be able to take the stuff they're looking at on the board, in the playbooks, and get out. And this is like the first time of organized this is the stuff that we're trying to feed you as far as the game. This is our playbook and stuff like that. So it's very important. And I said to you earlier when we were doing our Easy Sports Talk show, and it's like when we were younger and we had to take tests, SATs and ACTs and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
And it's, there was a reason you practice those things. So when it finally came time to take it, it was like, we're game ready. Same thing for these mini camps and stuff. They are very important because it's practice to start figuring out, what we're going to look like on the field. This is the play calls and the signals and the motions and this, because it's all terminology. I mean, it's so important to start.
I didn't think about the terminology. I mean, I know we talked about that previously in a different way, but when you said terminology, it's different if you have the same coaching staff that's coming back. No, you got totally different terminology that you have to get down pat.
Well, here's a crazy part, Jay. There's only so many ways you can run power. There's only so many route trees, but everybody's got a different terminology, as we call it, for those things, and the motions, the blocking schemes. I remember when I was with the Falcons, coming from Washington a year before, we ran the same plays, but it was, instead of tag with my tackle and guard combination, or, a guard or tackle tight end combination, we had different, things. And those are very important because you got to get that old stuff out of your head. You got to get the new stuff in, the motions, all the wiggles and waggles and why over this, that, these are things that you can start getting into your head and, get a chance to hear it. And as much as you hear it now, once you get to training camp, it's like you're going to have to hear it 1,000 more times so it really sinks in. Right. Because what happens is you're doing this stuff now and you can afford to, we used to call it this when I was there, or, and then but now when the closer you get to the season, there's no time for mistakes. Yeah. And this stuff, people forget, this stuff happens at 40-second clips. You run a play, you're right back at it. And it's like, this stuff, you got to have this stuff ingrained in your head. And this is where it starts. And that's why these mini camps are so important. And, I love, like you mentioned, Budda. We'll talk about him coming up here in a second. But now the new even terminology for it's holding in instead of holding out. So he's showing up.
Yes.
But he's not participating, Yes. But, and that's, it's very important for these guys to be here and be involved, especially, let's just say it, Jay, when you have the lack of talent that we have, it's going to be even more important that everybody knows what the heck they're doing. And, this is the beginning of, starting that culture and everything. And it all starts in the offseason. It's very important. One last thing I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I remember when I went to Atlanta in 97 and we were, all ragtag coming together. First 7 games or 8 games of that season, we were 1-7. And then, we finished on a good clip. But that following offseason, that's when it all started to gel. That's when, so we can hold hope that Cardinals might look horrible this year, but they're building something, and it all starts with these offseason workouts and programs.
Makes sense. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. So this is the time of year where you start to get those lists, because this is often once NBA and NHL are done, now it's baseball, and then you're waiting for college and pro football to begin. So that's why you start seeing all these lists and these Mount Rushmores and all that stuff. And so there was an article that, again, get this from Cards Wire, the Cardinals 5-player core ranked last in the NFL. And so there's who is it from? It's the person that came up with this is Seth Waldner. In an ESPN article, took the top 5-player course from each team and then rank the teams. So when you think of almost a 5-player core, so to speak, and how it measures up. So the 5-player core for the Cardinals: Kyler Murray, safety Budda Baker, Marquise Brown, offensive lineman DJ Humphries, and offensive lineman Paris Johnson, and who is their first round pick this year. And so he does this for each one of the teams, and the Cardinals are dead last. Now, I don't know if they should be dead last just because the guys are because you have what Johnson coming in as a rookie. I don't think DJ Humphries is that terrible. Marquise Brown, I could kind of take or leave him. I know that you refuse to call him Hollywood, you call him Marquise, but
I'm gonna name him Marquise. I'm gonna call him Marquise.
and then we have Budda Baker, who is phenomenal at his position if he's going to be here. And then Kyler Murray is that big question mark. But when you think about those players as it relates, if that's the core of that team, if that's a 5-player course, what do you think that what does that make you think of? Does that make you think of a 4-win season? Or
Can
what
I,
is, yeah, give
can
me your
I
thoughts
ask
on
you
that.
something? What are you
Yeah.
looking at that makes you think that that's not last? And I'll
I don't
ask you
think
this.
it can't be last. I'm not
All
saying
right,
maybe it should be in the bottom tier, but not necessarily dead last.
let me break it down for you then,
Okay,
okay?
go ahead.
We got a quarterback that's currently injured, although he's talented, but he's injured.
Yeah.
Might not even be available till mid to late season. Possibility he might not be here at all. Period. Right.
I mean,
Then
that's
you
one
have
thing. Yeah.
okay. Then you got Budda Baker, who doesn't even want to be here. Who's already asked for a trade. I want out. Then you look at the rest of that list. Marquise Brown, who was at best he's a 2 as far as wide receiver, but he's going to be our number 1 because we just got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah. So you got a 2 masquerading as a 1, and then your other 2 are a rookie that has not played a snap yet in the NFL, albeit he's our first-round pick, and then DJ Humphries, who's okay, but he's not even a skill position player. I'm sure if we went to some of these other teams at the top, you would have skilled players galore, meaning wide receiver, running back, quarterback, then somebody on the defensive line and a cornerback or safety or something like that, or an edge rusher. We don't even have that. You look at what we got. We got an injured quarterback, a dude that doesn't want to be here, a number 2 wide receiver, and then 2 offensive linemen. That's our top 5. That's the best. Like right now, Jay, if we were like, if this was okay, we are consider our roster was a high school team, right? And or we go to a gym, it's like, hey, we're gonna get our best 5 to go up against, whoever. We'll go out there and get on the court and hoop.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So this is our best 5 that we can come up with on our roster.
Okay.
There were teams when I was in high school playing ball and hooping. There were times when we get to the other gym and you're doing your layup drills and stuff. You turn around and look, you're like, oh no, we're gonna kill these dudes. You can just look at that and be like, yeah. So if that's your best, then good Lord.
All right, yes. I stand corrected. Every once in a while, I am open to being to wrong.
I love the effort, though, Jay.
Yeah, I tried, man. I tried.
I love the effort.
Good Lord. When I just look at teams that, for example, like the Texans, who we're hoping in this upcoming draft, so next season's draft, to be able to hope to dominate the draft, because the Texans should be terrible, and the Cardinals are probably going to be less than good.
Ooh, boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I would take, like, I'm gonna do a little homework, bro.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a little sniffing around some of the other organizations, their top 5s. I'm gonna find the top 5s on this list and go through them and see if I can find something worse. But I'm pretty sure we deserve to be at the bottom of that list. I'm just saying that much.
All right.
That's the best we can do.
So Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. We've mentioned Budda Baker a couple times. He was in that core 5 from the previous mentioned article. But when do you draw the line in the sand when players wanting to renegotiate or look to get extensions? If you're coming in, you're the new guy. You're not the substitute teacher. You're now I'm the head man in charge here now. And then you have all these gripes and complaints that are coming with people not wanting to be here. How would you handle that if you were Monti Ossenfort? And do you think that Budda showing up but not participating as he's waiting to either get an extension or to be able to have a trade executed, how does that affect the team at all?
Well, the Ossenfort and management, they're in a tough situation because they are new to the party. We know what the previous regime has done. They've mishandled this whole scenario, starting with the quarterback. There was absolutely no reason to give Kyler that money early, right? So they made that mistake. And then you got a soldier here, and I don't, I don't like to use those terms because he's not a soldier, he's an athlete. But you got a personnel, somebody here, Budda, he's bled, sacrificed, played when he was injured over the last few years. He's coming up on that 2-year window where his contract is going to be up. And he also looks and he knows what this team is going to be, Jay. He knows that for the next year or two, this is going to be straight doo-doo. It's going to be straight garbage. But at the same time, he's going to go out there, throw his body around, try to win, but he knows he's fighting an uphill battle. This is not going to look good. At the same time, he's like, I'm going out there, I'm risking my future, and all I have is 2 years left on my contract. I want an extension. And management is saying they're new. Like I said, they're new. They're like, we don't look at giving players extensions 2 years out. So it's like two budding rams, you know.
Right.
He wants it. Now, guaranteed, if Keim and Kingsbury had escaped the blade and were still here, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would they have done, Jay? They would have been like, well, Budda's been our dude. You know, we got to take care of him. So even though it's 2 years left on the contract, we just re-upped Kyler. So what, you know, they would have stayed on their same plan. He would have got that money, and it probably would have been a nice paycheck because he represents well for the organization. But the new people coming in, they're like, that's not how we roll. We don't do that. And it's a tough situation because they're looking at Budda's just a dude to them. What I always say to you, Jay, when you're playing sports as a professional and you go to a new organization, I remember when I got traded from the White Sox to the Brewers in 1991. And I went from prospect to suspect in a half a minute. Had the same talent and ability, had the same stuff I'd done in my previous years. I didn't fall off or anything like that. I was still young, 22 years old, I think it was. Had all the talent in the world. But I was with a new organization. They're looking at me like, well, we'll take a look, but, you're not our homegrown product. And you're now part of the Brewers. It's the same thing with new management coming in. They are looking at Budda like, hey, we like what you've done, but you got to show us, or, I know you've done well and it's a tough spot to be in. And him showing up, what is he doing, Jay? He's avoiding being fined.
Right.
Because they can start hitting you in the paycheck a little bit. So he's like, look, that's all right. I'm going to come, but I'm not doing anything. And I'm sure, they're looking at him. So right now, management is talking to his representation. And he's just like, he's standing on the sideline with arms crossed, and he's letting them dudes talk to his dudes. He's like, talk to my peeps. He's like, I'm here. And that's when it gets contentious because, they're looking at him like, Budda, we need you to get out there and, they're trying to teach the young guys and Budda's like, nah, you don't want to take care of me. I want to trade, and that's what I've said. And so they'll let everything happen on the backside conversation. But the reason he's here because he don't want to get fined. He don't want to lose any of his money. That's why they call it mandatory.
Do you think that it's difficult from what we know about Budda? Do you think that being on the outside looking in, so to speak, by not participating in the drill, all those types of things, that it's difficult for him? Because he would strike me as the kind of guy that wants to be out there, but that it's look, which your agent is saying, I'm doing what's best for you. My concern isn't your team. My concern is you as my client.
If this was regular season, it would be killing him. He's not a dude that wants to miss anything during the regular season. We saw that by way of him having that high ankle sprain, and he pushed himself to get back on the field. So if this was regular season, it would be eating him alive. If it was training camp, it might be just a touch more. This is mini camp, bro. He is fine. I'm sure he is fine and dandy, standing there watching. He's probably staying in good shape, doing what he's doing wherever he's doing it. Because I don't think he's at the facility doing this stuff. But he's probably got a personal trainer. He's working out with other dudes somewhere, whether it's here or I'm not sure of his status of whether he stays in the off season or not. I'm sure he is staying in great shape. Nobody's hitting anybody right now. Nobody's, they probably gave him his whatever playbooks in the little short meetings and stuff. So he's looking at the stuff. He's just not out there doing anything. And it's not affecting him at all right now because this is there's nothing going on that he can't be doing as far as getting in shape and stuff on his own. He's just here because, like I say, he doesn't want to lose any money.
If you're Gannon, are you really have, when you're a new coach, I won't even say it again, and when you're a new coach and you have these issues that are coming up and you're just focused on trying to coach the team and trying to install the plays, the verbiage, your culture, you got to be very careful on what you say, because one little quote that can be taken out of context. Oh, that's what he said. Oh no, I really want to be out. Don't it's a slippery slope. You have to walk very carefully, right?
Yeah, and it's all right at this point. It's all coach speak. He's probably talked to Budda. They probably quick, dap. I'm not sure if they went in for the full hug or anything like that. And they'll say all the
You
nice
got to go for the
things.
hug. Hey man, I ain't
Hey,
get what I want yet, man.
you get that. You get a little shoulder. You ain't getting full embrace. Now, if they were to if all of a sudden next week we find out, hey, reported that the Cardinals have extended Budda, 4 years, 40 million or whatever it is. Next time you see Budda, it'd be like full dap, But right now, little shoulder,
Right.
little might even just do pound, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
everybody's gonna say the nice and right things right now. Monti, we're working, everything's going on behind the scenes. Budda, hey, I'm here. It's got some things going on, but I still love the Cardinals. We'll see what happens. This is still, as of right now, it's still a good marriage because nobody's gone outside of the lines and said anything. Budda did ask for that trade, but he's not being demonstrative about it. We'll see where it goes. But right now, everybody's playing nice, which is a good thing. Now, as we get closer to training camp, then it becomes a different situation because now, like I said, Budda will be either there and participating, or if he's going to do this hold in stuff, they might consider that a mutiny on the bounty, and then they might ask him, if you're not going to participate, then you need to stay home. We'll figure out what's going, because obviously you're getting closer to the regular season then. So We'll see how long everybody plays nice, but and does the right thing. But as of right now, it's all good. Let's say it's June 14th.
Yeah. So Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. When you're coming in, again, if you are, whether in the corporate world or in the sports world, when you're the new guy, when you're the head one in charge, there's different ways that you can go about it. You can come in and try to clear the decks and to start from scratch, or come in and make some tweaks here along the way. With Monti Ossenfort, it seems as if he's trying to essentially kind of clear the deck, so to speak, and build a new foundation, and then start to just, we got the same plot of land, we just raised everything, and now we're kind of starting from scratch. So the culture is the foundation, and who we're gonna in the drafts and those things. So far, because sometimes I think some folks would think, or some maybe GMs or people in his place would say, I'm going to spend, I'm going to wheel and deal, whatever I got to do. If we don't have some draft picks, I'm rob Peter to pay Paul, whatever phrase that you want to use. Are you impressed with what it seems to be a measured way of going about this thing? And then I'll ask the next question after that. So how do you feel? Are you impressed with what you've seen or not seen so far?
Oh, that's a great question, Jay. And it's hard to, right now, they are doing a total strip down of this thing. I haven't, it's hard to say. I'm impressed that they're trying.
Okay.
The results, like right now, you think about this roster, there's nothing there. They didn't do anything in free agency, which I understand because they knew they were going to strip it down. So
because he inherited a bad situation.
He did. He really did. You got a star quarterback that's hurt. You don't know when he's coming back. You let certain players go. Didn't resign them. You had J.J. Watt retire.
You gotta laugh, man.
On a side note, I just saw that Houston's putting him in their ring of honor. So,
yes, sir.
So congratulations to J.J. Watt.
Yes, sir.
I think he deserved that. Now, if the
Cardinals
do it in turn, that's so phony.
No,
he was here for 2 years.
2 seasons. Yeah, 2 seasons.
Okay.
No.
So I digress. But Ossenfort is coming into a tough situation, bro. It is so bad. And I don't know. We're going to have to take this first season because right now, we'll see when they get to training camp, they're going to be bad. They'll have all the talk like, hey, we're thinking, we got a great roster here. We're going to go out. And, man, we all know it's going to be a rough season, especially before Kyler comes back. It's just broke down right now. So as far as being impressed, I would say, hey, I'm impressed with their cojones to do what they're doing, because when a lot of times what GMs do when they come in, they try to take what's left, like leftover, and like, hey, we're just going to start from here and then try to build it up, and that can be good. Sometimes you can find a couple grease lightning, fire on a couple things, and you get there a little. This is like, hey, we are going to take steps back.
Right.
We're going to be so bad to start out with, but we're okay with that. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna find the right guys, and it might take us a couple of years, and we're gonna look probably pretty bad for a little bit of time. But this is our program. So I give all mad respect for the fact that they are willing to strip it down, and we'll see. I'm interested to see what their talk is when it's as bad as if it's as bad as it looks, if it does turn out to be like that, how they're going to talk during that stretch. If they're telling us that we're just a couple players away, not when you strip it down like this. If they come out and say, look, this is a project. We're starting
right now.
From scratch.
I saw something, I think I saw it on Cards Wire, that the Cardinals have the lowest projected win percentage for this upcoming season.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It is not going to be, it's not going to look good. It's going to be rough, bro. It really is.
Sometimes when I know this won't apply to you because you are a master chef. Sometimes when you're cooking a meal, you're trying to time everything so it comes out right on time and it's perfect. And you know that you're supposed to have whatever dish in the oven at 350, but you're behind. So what you do is you turn it up to 375 or 380 because you're trying to accelerate. And next thing you know, it's messed up because you're off your schedule, right? The reason I'm mentioning that is right now he's got everything 375. So he's fine, 350. He's fine right now, right? Because that's his plan. But I wonder if it looks at the end of the season, if it looks so bad, will he all of a sudden turn it up? I'm spinning in the off season. I'm doing this. I got to change my plan because you start to become worried. Do you think that is a possibility?
Another great question. I think if you have the conviction of doing what they're doing, you got to have confidence in it and just roll with it. I don't think you can, can't talk your way out of this one at this point. Now, I wonder whether when they took over the job, like both him and Gannon, Ossenfort and Gannon, and then you get into it and you're like, oh my God, what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Right.
But hey, here's the thing. They signed their contracts. Hopefully, they got some guarantee money, and hopefully Bidwell said, hey, I'm not expecting you guys know what you're doing. I don't expect this to be one of those things where you guys turn it around in a year or two. This is 3, 4, and 5 year project. So do what you do. And that could give them the confidence to, hey, we're going to strip this down, and no matter how bad it looks initially, we got time on our hands to make this what we need to make it. So,
I've been hanging around you too long because these are starting to come in my head now. It's Friday. Smokey, go give me some cigarettes. Gives him $1. That ain't enough. Make it enough. So I wonder if Bidwell will say, hey, he'll come to Smokey, which is Ossenfort, and say, hey, give me to the playoffs. Well, this is after this is the first season. I told you that's not enough time. Make it enough time and get me to the playoffs. I wonder if that's what's going to happen. But interesting. So these are things that we'll be keeping an eye on, especially as this roster is constructed. And what we want to see is the development of players such as Cam Thomas. What are the things that he was listed as maybe a secret superstar on the come up? We'll see. Looking at the development of their rookie offensive linemen, those things are going to be paramount if you're building up this talent, so that when you have a more talented roster, that you're able to capitalize on it. So,
well, here's just the everybody's on the clock right now, Jay. Meaning there will be some urgency from general manager to start getting the right players in here. And that starts with dealing with this season first. Quarterback situation, we'll get through it. By halfway through the season, they'll be figuring out Is Kyler going to be ready to come back? If he's not, and we're looking abysmal already, let's give him the whole season to rehab. And then there's all these rumors about they might even be looking at a quarterback next year. We don't know. That's just, So we'll see where that all goes. But then the other thing is, okay, once we get through this horrible season, then we start concentrating on getting some higher paid free agency players in here, which is the start of free agency next year. You start getting some more of these long-term contracts, because right now you sign a bunch of these mid-level guys for one-year deals and stuff like that. You start to get, you're gonna have to spend a little bit, get a couple dudes, some real dudes in here on some real contracts, and then the draft again next year, starting with the core of whatever you're developing here. Your Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, dudes that we're going to be looking to step up and take those next, leaps in their performance fund. So it's a combination of a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Front office, coaches coaching them up, getting the culture right, and then starting getting the right dudes in here. And then the dudes that are supposed to be the core start playing like they're supposed to be playing. So, I mean, everybody's on the clock. It's going to look ugly. It's going to, oh my goodness. Who knows what we're in for, Jay? It might be a 3 or 4 win season. You're talking about a 17-game season. That's long.
That is long. That is long.
Wow.
Well, yeah. So on behalf of the one and only Ed Easy Smith, I am Javon Adams, and we are presented as always by Bet Online. We do this thing a couple times a week. We'll be hitting you off on Friday as well. And tell a friend about what we have going on here at Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. And as we always like to say around this time, you can